Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I have set a goal for January to do 30 days of workouts at minimum 30 minutes per workout every single day, no breaks through January, and that's going to be a pretty lofty goal for me because over the last 3 months I haven't even done 30 workouts. So this is going to be a huge lift for me, but I am going to start today and get this started, and I'm going to document all the changes for you to follow along, including my weight, body fat percentage, and my Strava fitness score and FTP to see what kind of changes can happen over the course of a month. So follow along, and hopefully I'll stick with it and get you some good data by the end of the month. Day one of the 30 for 30 challenge. Can step on the scale, see what I'm at, so I can track this every day and see what kind of weight loss I get and fat percentage loss over the course of the month. So as you can see, looking through my training log from Strava over the last 3 months, I've got very little riding in, including many weeks here that you'll see of no riding at all. So what that leads to is a Strava fitness score that is terrible. My fitness score currently is 11, and it's fallen sharply ever since about mid-September or so. So I've got a lot of work to do to get this improved, and we're going to work on that and see how much this will increase over the next 30 days of activities. Coming off of a pretty nasty cold, so I'm just going to do a low intensity Zwift ride for 30 minutes. Day one, let's go. First ride in progress. And just like that, day one of the 30 for 30 is done. All right, back at you for the week one update. So far, every day I've got at least 30 minutes of riding. Week one stats, 5 hours and 9 minutes total riding and 103.5 miles covered. Obviously all virtual because of, well, a lot of snow that we've had around here, and it's continuing to fall, so it may be an entire month of indoor rides unless for whatever reason I get lucky and that weather breaks. So, for the good news, I am down 2.5 pounds over the course of the week, which really isn't too bad considering that I haven't changed anything about my daily routine with the exception of adding in that workout every single day. So that's a pretty good improvement, and I hope it just continues to fall. And one of the struggles that I've had over this past week is I really started this month in this 30-day journey here feeling a little bit under the weather with some pretty nasty sinus stuff and a cough, which I went ahead and pushed through and did the exercises anyway. But I hope as I continue to clear that out, my workouts will get longer and harder, and I'll be able to build fitness a little bit quicker. Additionally, and one of the interesting things that I found about this is that my body fat percentage has stayed relatively flat over the course of the week, which I don't put a whole lot of stock into the body fat measurements on these home scales anyway. It is interesting to note that aspect of it as well. As for my actual fitness, I won't be doing an FTP test until the end of the month to see how much I've improved over my last one. However, my Strava fitness score has gone up considerably from 11 and it's now at 16, but my fatigue score on Strava is also pretty high, so that's something that I need to be aware of and try to manage that as I go throughout the month. So with week 1 done and in the books, now is a good time for me to go ahead and mention that if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. As you can see, most people that watch my channel aren't subscribed, and if you did subscribe, that would really help out the channel, and of course giving it a big thumbs up to help spread this video out as well. Another thing to note is that if you're interested in any of the products I use or the equipment that I use, feel free to look down in the description there, and I have links to all of those products I use as well. Any purchases, again, would help to support the channel. Alright, so with this first week in the books, we'll go ahead and get another 7 days down, and I'll check back in next week with another update.
Never break, always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win it life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind, I could change, in my mind, pick a lane, commit and climb, the only way to win it life.
And just like that, I am now done with my second full week of writing every day for at least 30 minutes. And there were only 2 days last week where I only got the bare minimum of 30 minutes because I needed a little bit of recovery, but I did finish strong with a couple of longer hour-plus rides with some higher intensity, including an epic race on Zwift. So, stats for the week are 121 miles covered, 5 hours and 38 minutes ridden total. I am feeling a little bit better, moving past that cold that I had start of the month, and I think I'm pretty well over that, so that is helping me. I am getting a little bit of soreness in the rear end from sitting on the bike as much as I have every single day with no break, and I am getting quite a bit of fatigue built up in my legs. One of the interesting things that I've really seen recently is that I haven't been able to get my heart rate quite as high as I used to, and I think that's just a symptom of the fatigue, which Strava does show that I have quite a bit of fatigue built up. So, with that said, for my weight, this week I actually didn't drop any weight at all. I stayed entirely flat. That was kind of a shock to me. Body fat percentage, again, I don't put a lot of stock into this because it is an indirectly measured body fat measurement through the scale, but it did show 24%, which is down just a little bit from where it was last week. Let me know down in the comments, do you actually follow that body fat percentage on a household scale, or do you throw that out? So for the Strava fitness score, one thing that really shocked me this week was I doubled my initial fitness score from the start of this challenge after just 14 days, going from an abysmal 11 on my fitness score clear up to 22. Now I haven't ridden yet today, so it did go down a point, but just having that doubling after 14 days of continuous riding is really impressive in my opinion, and I'm really excited to see how high it's going to go, see if I actually get anywhere close to what I used to be back many months ago. And again, take a look at that fatigue level. That is really high. So I am going to start out this next week with just a couple of short, lower intensity recovery style rides before I get back into the high intensity stuff. So now that I'm about halfway through with this challenge, go ahead and drop in the comments there, how high do you think I'm going to get my fitness score built up over the course of this month? And also, if you have any predictions about how high that fatigue score is going to go up, drop that in there as well. I'm really curious to see how this month is going to end up. And so with that, we'll start up week 3 and continue on, and I'll check in again next week. All right, we are back for week 3 update. Another full 7 days of writing, at least 30 minutes a day. So let's just jump right into the stats for this week. Total distance, 130.1 miles and 6 hours and 37 minutes. This was actually a significant increase over last week, and that's primarily due to some long courses on the Tour de Zwift and the Epic Race that I took on over the weekend, and I put some really hard efforts in there, and my legs are hurting today as a result of it. However, I have gotten into kind of a routine in that I do longer, more strenuous exercises over the weekend and take the first couple of days with some really light 30-minute spins just to get some active recovery in. And I think that's really been helping manage the fatigue numbers. So for my weight, as you recall from last week, I didn't lose any weight. I stayed flat after losing 2.5 pounds in the first week. So for week 3, I'm happy to report that I did lose some weight, though it wasn't even a full pound. I am down to 167.6 pounds. Although I do want to note that earlier in the week, I did go as low as 166.1, but of course, weighing in after the weekend, watching my Chiefs play, overindulge a little bit. So that could be skewing my Monday weigh-in numbers a little bit higher. For the body fat percentage, again, I don't put a lot of stock in this, but it did show 24.7%, which is quite a big increase over last week. However, again, earlier in the week it was showing me down into the 23s, which would be a loss. So again, I'm not going to put a lot of stock into it, but it is worth noting that as well. So for my Strava fitness score, which is really the metric that I am most interested in seeing improvement in, I had a massive leap this week, probably due to the additional time and the high intensity efforts over the weekend. So my current Strava fitness score is at 28. And if you remember right, I started at just 11. So that's a huge increase in fitness score. However, I do have to note that my fatigue score is quite high right now. It's actually really high, higher than it's been over the last 3 months at 62. But again, doing those lighter efforts earlier in the week is really working to modulate that fatigue score. And you can look on the graph here and show that it does go down a little bit in the beginning of the week before I ramp it back up with higher intensity later in the week. So I went into this experiment. I didn't have any goals in mind or any idea of what to expect really, so I didn't put anything on paper for what I wanted to achieve with it. However, now that I'm a little bit through the program here, still have quite a bit to go, I've now set a goal to try to lose 5 pounds over the course of the month and get my fitness score higher than it has been in 6 months, which would put it up to 34. And that's a pretty big leap from where I started at. So that would be a really good kickstart into this year and getting back on track with proper training. So now that the weekly update is done, I've got one more full week and then just a few days after that. And then my plan is to do a taper ride and then a day off and then come back for the FTP test to see exactly how much I improved over my last one. Week 4 update time, 28 days down, only 2 more left in this 30-day challenge. So this update's going to be a really short one because I'm going to do a full cumulative update after day 30, in which we'll go over the full stats a little bit more detail. So for week 4, we have a total of 6 hours and 36 minutes ridden, which is almost identical to the week before, but the mileage was a little bit lower at 116.9 miles. And the reason for the lower amount of mileage on this week is because of the heavy climbing I did, including the Alpe d'Huez, which was a really long time with not a lot of mileage gain. And so since we have the end of the 30-day update coming so soon, I'm going to go ahead and skip the weigh-in at this point, and we'll just do a final weigh-in after day 30 and really see the cumulative weight loss for this entire month challenge. I am going to go ahead and go through my Strava fitness score at this point because I am going to take a little bit of a rest time before I do my final FTP test. So at this point, 28 days in, so as you can see here, my fitness score is 32, and that is up from just 11 when I started this 30-day challenge. So that is a massive improvement, and I'm really happy with that. I didn't quite reach that 34, which was the goal that I set last week, hoping that I could reach the highest fitness that I've had in 6 months, but I am just almost there, and I'm happy enough with that. But the interesting thing to note on this is that fatigue score. That fatigue score is really, really high. And at this point, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. My legs are hurting, my hamstrings are sore, and I really do need a break. And that's probably in part due to the 2-hour plus ride that I did, including that ascent of Alpe d'Huez. So I am going to take a little bit of time after the end of this challenge, recover a day or two, and then I'm going to jump into the FTP test and really see the power gains or losses that I may have had over the course of this challenge. Alright, so just 2 days left, and fortunately for me, the weather is actually looking pretty decent this week, so I might be able to get an outdoor ride in for one of my final 2 rides. So with that said, we'll check back in the middle of the week with a final weigh-in update, a total stat overview, and then after another couple of days of rest, I'll jump in, hit that FTP ramp test up, and come in with the final numbers for my FTP. 30 days of riding done at minimum 30 minutes every day. And there were some days where I did the bare minimum of 30 minutes. But let me tell you, doing this consistently every single day, even the days that I didn't want to get up and do a ride, was really challenging. I've done a lot of challenging things on the bike, lots of 100-mile rides, lots of long races, and being consistent and doing this every single day has probably been one of the hardest things I've done. 30 days consecutively is no easy task. So now that I have all 30 days done, I'm going to go ahead and recap some of my full stats for the 30 days, starting with the amount of rides, the total rides over the course of the 30 days, in which I got 33 total rides because there were several days where I did multiple rides, including my commute to and from work. That's 2 rides in one day. And there were several races where I jumped in and did a warm-up ride in advance of a race, which also tacked on a couple of extra rides there. For the mileage, over the course of the month, 30 days, 497.9 miles. That's an average of about 16.6 miles per day. Total elevation for the month, virtual, so it's not quite the same, but 23,327 feet. Total time, 25 hours and 41 minutes, which is an average of 51 minutes per day. And for my weight over the course of the month, one of the big things I really wanted to do starting out with this is lose weight, because over the last many months of not doing any riding at all, I did add on a couple of pounds and I wanted to trim down just a little bit over the course of the month. And I am glad to say that I have lost quite a bit of weight. On my week 3 update, I mentioned that I wanted to see a 5-pound weight loss over the course of the 30 days, and I actually exceeded that with my final weigh-in being 164.1 pounds, which is a total loss of 6.9 pounds over the course of 30 days, which is a pretty significant amount for me, so I'm happy with that. Following on with that, I know I have harped on the fact that I don't put a lot of stock into the consumer grade body fat scale, and my final weigh-in, again, it was kind of an outlier, showing 21% body fat, whereas I had been consistently around the 24% over the course of the month. I really don't believe that that is an accurate number, but that is what the scale is showing, so I am going to go ahead and report that here in this. So overall, this has been a very eye-opening experience for me, a big challenge getting out there and getting a ride in every single day, even when you get up and don't want to, even when you have the sore legs and not wanting to move, wanting to get that rest in, still getting up and doing it has been huge for me and for my motivation. I am now more motivated than I have been in many months to get on the bike, get miles in, get my fitness up, and get back into shape. So now that I have had a day of rest after my 30-day challenge, I'm going to go ahead and jump on the trainer, do another ramp test, and see just how much my fitness has increased or decreased. It's very possible that the fatigue hasn't allowed me to improve my fitness, but I believe that I probably will see some sort of increase. I don't know just how mentally prepared I am for the pain that I'm going to be inflicting on myself through this FTP test. But no matter, just like all the hard rides I did over January, I'm going to get through it. That's it. That's all I got. I know that was more than last time. Maybe 235. Whew. Almost 10 watts. I'm happy with that. Whew. Well, it wasn't quite as high as I expected. I was hoping for closer to 240, 245, but it's still better than I was. And I think part of it might have been the fatigue, because I could feel the soreness in my thighs as we were getting up towards 260, 280 watts. But my heart rate did go up. That's good. So, until next time, everyone, enjoy your ride.